Good evening. Fancy seeing you again, Steph. Long time no see, my man. Long time no see. We're
Return of the
back.
Jedi. Yeah, we're back. For all
Um,
those who missed, you got to do this. For all those who missed the episode before this, we're doing back to backs because our audio fucked up. So here we are, trying to we're going forward in time
yeah,
to save
absolutely.
on time. But yeah, good to be
And
back
speaking,
again.
we're back. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be back. And speaking of forward in time, Steph, we're going to be thinking forward in time and thinking
Oh,
forward in time about a particular train. I'm sure you guys know who we're going to be talking about. And obviously, there's been a lot of concerns on and off the pitch, which we'll touch on those in a little bit, but not in a lot of detail. Simply, my friend, should we sell Theo Hernandez in January? How long has he got left in his contract? Tell me.
it's up in 2026 currently, so that'll be it's just over a year and a half now. Yeah.
So to say his performances have been bad would probably be quite an understatement. For me, and I'm sure you would agree, I think he is genuinely when he's on form, the best left back in world football, not just top three. I think he is the best. And his performances have been not just poor in terms of ability, but they've been poor in terms of concentration and mentality and approach, to the point where I'm sure you would agree it's actually quite sad to see. And again, we can't speculate on those some rumours about what's going on in his personal life, which is probably affecting him. But these performances are beyond terrible. They are probably the worst string of games that Teo has ever played for Milan. And I mean, even when he first broke out onto the scene, he was better than he is currently. So, what do you think is going on, and what would you do about it?
I don't know what's going on. I mean, it could be this stuff off the pitch. You know, I guess I don't know. Some people, I guess, react differently to being a father now and stuff like that. It's a lot of. I think he's got 2 kids, or maybe he's having a second kid now. I
I think
can't
he's
remember.
just had his second, yeah.
Yeah. So, look, I think there's an element of I don't want to call it complacency with him. I think there's an element of, and it comes back down to the project. I think it comes something's quite not maybe ticking his boxes to allow him to get the best of his abilities out. I think that works both ways. I think he should equally, as a player, as a professional, to hold himself to higher standards. Potentially because he's a guaranteed starter for the French side, he feels like he doesn't have to play of a certain level to prove his worth when it comes to playing for Milan.
Agreed.
But and equally as more of an attacking threat for us. But does he kind of look at someone like Leao and go, me and him are holding it down going forward, that we don't really need to do the legwork defending, as kind of has usually been the case, but like ultimately that we could tell this night and day between the player of he's still been someone that, tracks back quite well and makes up for pace, and if he has committed forward, and I've seen it many a times recover the ball on counterattacks just because of the sheer tenacity and speed and strength and the willingness to win the duel, which he's not done at all this season. I mean, Christ, the tracking back against Parma it still gives me nightmares to this day.
And the problem is, so I just want to touch on that as well. And I'm sorry if you were about to say it, but it just came into my mind. He hasn't been doing that, and that's just not a weakness in his game necessarily, but it's obviously not his strength. The thing is, he would have seasons where he wasn't doing that, but then he would be banging goals in, and he would be direct on the attack.
Yeah.
Now I know there's a tactical difference. He hasn't got as much license to roam as he did under Pioli. We know that, but it doesn't matter. He hasn't made any of the same runs when he's had the opportunity to cut inside. And like you said, quite rightly, his defending or his grinta, his tenacity, you know what it is? It's not even it's his want to defend. That's the problem. It's not there. It's just not there.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think he's never known for being a good, like a one-on-one defender, someone that you put a winger against, he's going to lock him down. He's never been that. I don't think we'll ever expect that. We shouldn't expect that from him. But to your point, I think there's a level of tenacity, just level of intelligence into his game as well. I mean, I mentioned the Parma game this season. I'll never forget the Fiorentina game as well, where it was his birthday, I believe, and he takes the first penalty, misses it, and then I believe gives another penalty away or something like that. Or, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, audience, if I've got that order wrong. But I know he gives away one penalty and misses another on his birthday and gets sent off at the end of the game.
Gave it one first, and then he took it to redeem, and then it missed.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
And he missed. Yeah, and then okay, yeah, you're right, actually, yeah. And then he gets sent off at the end of the game. So, like, I mean, that happens, and then you just see continue. How many? The probably most common goals that we've conceded, other than probably set pieces this season, have been crosses from one side of crosses into the box, and it's equally on the back post where he's just been found lacking, and it's been vice versa as well onto the right side. But ultimately, I think his one stood out a lot more. Certainly, like the goals against Parma, there's goals against Lazio that are like that as well, and not tracking the runner. The Ketlare goal against him as well from the header as well. Like, there's just so much from a defensive perspective that there's not been enough, and I think, I mean, it goes back to your question: is it time to sell? There's a few things on the table which I think we have to consider the fact. And the first one is the length of time remaining on his contract, which is going into January will be a year and a half. Which, if you really consider it, if we go into the summer with this same situation with a year left on this deal, we will not be playing with house money when it comes to selling him. We'll be having to take a loss based off what we think we would get. So a year and a half with a lot of clubs right now, especially in the Prem, looking to quickly fix an issue. A Manchester United, they haven't got good fullbacks, so they could come in easily and go, here's 70 million euros on the table.
City even.
Yeah, or Man City, as you see. Yeah, great shout there as well. There's a lot of clubs who would want him, and probably be a great move for him to revitalise his momentum as a player, where we could get a massive fat cash injection and deal with the squad that we have, and addressing a lot of the issues we have internally. And it might mean, we change our approach and going that with Hernandez, we've always seen ourselves having a winger at a left back to give us these goals and assists. We can get a more defensively astute left back and get more from the midfield, get more from the attack, and then reinvest that money internally there. So I think that's one thing to take under consideration. I think the
devil's advocate quickly on that.
I
want to play devil's advocate just before before you finish that. I'm interested in to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt. There's obviously an attitude issue in the squad as a whole, which is quite evident. And I'm just wanted to put this point on because although it probably is mostly him, I think there is probably a miasma, if you want to use that word, like some kind of like stench going on. I mean, look at Tomori. He got a yellow card against Red Star for just chatting shit, and now he's missing the next game. Not that he's really in our UCL squad at the moment, but it's not the point. It doesn't matter. You could get an injury and then you won't be able to play, and that was stupid. We've had the second most yellow cards, I think, or third most in the league. We've had up there with red cards as well. And I think there is something that is fair to say that I don't think it's completely him. And when I say it's not completely him, I think there's only a 10%, but it's worth mentioning that there's a 10% at least issue with the squad in terms of attitude and concentration. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that because to be thinking of a bit of like respect or due, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, it kind of actually brings me on. I was going to go on a bit on how we could. There's another scenario here where it could turn around and he could renew and he gets back to where he was playing at. Yeah, which is the bit where I kind of at this current moment I'm still leaning more towards.
Because he's the best in his position, and how could we replace him? Effectively?
Yeah. Like, would I rather want to bet and say that we can turn his head around? And I mean, renewing for me isn't an issue. I think the money, I think we could get to where he wants to get to. I think it's just more we need to make the right call if we feel like he can get back to it. And I think it's more the fact that like we're not long term thinking that Fonseca's the right idea. I'm not saying he's the fault of why Hernandez's performance has dipped, but if he's the one that's essentially going to war on certain players like Theo, I'm not convinced as much as to back Fonseca on the Theo Hernandez decision, like long term and thinking like I just want to get rid of him. I don't think that, like, I would not back him on that side. Where as much as I would for like a Calabria, it's like if he thinks Calabria's not good enough, we all know he's not good enough. Fine, fuck him off in January to Galatasaray. That's fine. But like making that call right now for Theo Hernandez, who's, I mean, he's like 26, 27. I think he's probably younger than that. Yeah, 25, 26 years old.
Well, he's 27 now. He's 27.
27 now. I mean, he's in the prime of his career, and it would not be strange. It just would not be. It would probably be very much typical. We'd sell him for a lot of money, and he played really well for Man City, and he'd go back to being best left back in the world. Like, it's just, so it's kind of more better the devil I know, which I know he's can get back to that level. It's just a question of motivation.
Yeah.
It's not talent.
Yeah.
And that should then also come into the other side of the decision. It's whether we think, and I think the last part as well for me is, even if we get that cash injection, would we spend it well? And I'm seeing rumours to like Biragi and all this sort of shit.
60 million, 50, 60 million we get would be going on 3 players. It wouldn't be going on a quality one replacement, which it should.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should be investing in the squad, in the midfield, regardless of a sale in January. But I have the feeling that management will use that cash as a cop-out, and then we'll just kind of be like 2 steps forwards and 1 back. Sorry, 2 steps back and 1 forward with the sale of Hernandez, and then getting in like a couple of risky midfielders for that money, as you pointed out. And I think we can look around the rest of the squad and make sales there. I would make a sale for Calabria if we have to at that point. I would make a sale for, as we've mentioned, Tomori as well. Like, I would make a sell there rather than sell Theo Hernandez right now, who has.
Oh, I agree.
Has more of a ceiling of a market value, and can give us more.
He's also more unique. He's a best. Yeah, he's like Tomori. We know his best is just a really good centre back. He's not a world class player. Yeah. But I just wanted to say as well, like, it makes me think. You raised a really good point about the whole. We buy. Let's say we get a good fee for him in January, and it's an offer like the Tonali one that's too good to refuse or whatever. But okay, fine. Isn't that kind of what we've been told about this management, and we just maybe haven't really seen the light, the wood for the trees yet? That maybe overall their plan is to build up these stars, keep us in Champions League football, keep 1 or 2, get a new blood in, get that top 4, sell the rest of the stars, and rinse and recycle, so that we get 2. So let's say we get a squad of 11. I'm just saying 4 of the 11 are amazing, like we currently have, like world-class players. And it's kind of like a conveyor belt. They get to a certain point, they're sold. And then the ones that we brought in hopefully get to that world-class level, sold. And it's like this continuous conveyor belt where we're never actually ever going to have an 11 ever that is top quality. Maybe that is genuinely, I know I'm really hypothesizing to you guys, but
maybe there's a scenario where, we do that and we bolster the rest of this. Because I guess you think of like how we won the league, and when we won the league, and we said back then the stars were Mike, Leao, Tonali, Tomori. I guess he was going. So the season after the league. So Tomori, Tonali, Leao, Mike, and Theo. So those 5 players were our best 5 players. Tonali's gone now. Tomori's, and Theo are very much in question. And Mike and Leao, you'd like to think Mike was hopefully sign a renewal deal and we keep him long term. He's 29 years old. And Leao, I like to still think we keep him as well. And then the next 3 are now Reinders, Fofana. I mean, that's probably kind of where we're at, right? And Pulisic, I'd say Pulisic, but so then you kind of take away Theo and Tomori, and you can get someone in. So we're kind of maybe slowly adding to the overall quality a little bit, but the whole point of what I'd like to think what we are doing better this time is replacing the depth and improving on the depth, which we haven't done, which we should have done.
Good point. Look at. I mean, this is something that we spoke about actually in the one that we recorded about the top 4. Yeah. We were talking about Atalanta. Look at Atalanta's depth. That's quietly gone under the radar. It's unbelievable. It's night and day. And then we go, oh, it's only Atalanta. There's no surprise why they're top of the league, because their first team's really good, and it's. Okay, individually they probably don't have as much talent as Milan, but their second, like their bench is insane. Like for a league anyway, it's really fucking good. And like you said, mate, we don't have that. We've got Musa, who is trying to fit a triangle hole in a fucking circle peg. He's not really great at anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's nuts. It's nuts.
It's and that's the bit that for me, you could sit here and go, all right, are we ever going to get to a starting 11 of top tier caliber? But I don't think we necessarily have to. I think we just need to have our, 4 to 5, maybe 6 stars, and we surround that with a very good, capable element of depth, with hardworking players who with obviously coaching and management that helps it as well. But like hardworking players who are disciplined, who know the positions very well, kind of what Atalanta have. You look at Atalanta and you see a squad with players like, Pasalic and Brescianini, Bellanova, the back line as well with some shrewd, like, they got that kid they got him on loan from Germany. He's coming in. You've got Jim Shitty, who's still he's like 30 years old, but he's doing his bit as well. Like kind of like that. But we haven't got the reliable players who can know their system right and who believe in the coach. And and that for me is a big concern. So going back to the sale idea, it's kind of like I said, better the devil I know, which I believe we can hopefully get him back to, the player we can get him back to. And if he renews and then we make a massive sale in the summer, fucking so be it then. If we get like 80 mil or something like that and you get him back to where he's at, fine, it is what it is. But like where we're at right now, we would not be selling him in the best timing possible, where we're in the middle of a season where we're struggling right now to get Champions League football for next season. And his market value is probably at its worst since he's, elevated himself to being one of the best left backs in the world. So it's kind of like, should we sell him in January? My answer to that would be right now, no, because it would be a horrible time to sell him from a squad perspective.
80 million, 85 million euros, which I think is probably the most we're going to get for him. Man City, give that to us. I don't think the management say no to that. Do you say no to that? Honestly, and I love Theo. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I love Theo. He's honestly my favourite player in the squad, even more so than Tonali in a way, because I think he's so unique. Do we take that? I think we have to.
In January, you mean?
Yes, in January, not summer. Man City, they've got so many issues. They're trying to win the league, whatever, blah, 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 blah. 85 million.
I mean, I think management take it. I don't necessarily think, personally, I don't think Man City offer it because.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, I mean, just like thrown out there 100%. Yeah. Like, I think if Gvardiol wasn't playing the way he's playing right now, and he's probably the best element of their back line, or Hernandez was a right back, for example, to replace Walker. Yeah, they probably do offer that, and management do take that. But do I take that? I mean, if you tell me right now that Hernandez will renew, then I would say no. But some people, and this is me saying that, completely frustrated with his performances. But
we've missed one thing as well. I've just realised there's the whole renew to sell. There is that option. We haven't discussed that.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So I think I'd rather, like I said, the devil I know is more. We get him back to at least 90-80% of where we can get back to. We revitalize his motivation. You renew him, and then and with that renewal, he's then got 3, 4, 5 years left on his deal, and then you sell in the summer, where some squads will as much as teams might come along and panic and give you a lot of money in January, as you might be right, a Man City might do or Manchester United might do, you're more than likely going to get that offer in the summer, as we did with Tonali. And I think we make a big sale then, and then you could then rebuild the squad hopefully in the right way, with a lot more time in pre-season,
provided we're in top 4 like we discussed in last week's or earlier.
I think the answer to the question of do we make a sale in January, I just think it's nonsensical when you know what management are like with the signings. I just don't think we'd get top market value of what we could get. I think we can still get him back to his best and get a renewal and get more in the future. I'd roll the dice and see if that can go that way rather than like fuck him off now. Unless the only caveat to that is if he asks to be sold. And if he asks to be sold, then of course, then let him go, because he's never going to get back to where he wants to get back to, and he won't renew. But obviously, only management will know the answer to that one.
I'm interested to see, obviously, what everyone listening is thinking on this one, because I think this is the most topical with what's going on. He's for me, like I said already this evening, I'd like to know what you think. He's like my favourite player out of the sort of even Tonali. I absolutely adore Theo, and obviously with what's going on personally, with the potential rumours about his nightclub thing or whatever. I'm really interested to see what everyone else thinks about this one, because I think there's probably debates going on right now in the wider Milan fan space regarding Theo, because I just think back on was it the 2022 season? I'm pretty sure the fight he had with Dumfries and just like that's the Theo that, do you know what I mean? He's just lost that. Like he hasn't. He'll dive. Like I see this a lot as well. Like the CDK goal at Atalanta, he won't fight now. He'll just dive, get free kicks, and I know that's such a little thing, but he wasn't like that before. Or if he did it in a way when he was driving into space and then he would dive to get a free kick. Fine, but when he was defending balls, he was known as being a tough, like rough house. Like he was. He's
Yeah,
lost that.
agree.
He hasn't got that. I don't know where that's gone. And that's
Yeah.
really concerning, because that shows a lack of effort and a lack of caring. He just doesn't care.
That's to my point as well. I think if he's kind of just like, if he's tapped out, then I think you make the sale, because then he should only be able to answer that question in a deep heart to heart, which I would hope club would put him in a room with Ibrahimovic and go like, look, do you still want this or not? Like where we currently are, do you want to go in January because we can make that happen? Like, or are you willing to crack on again? Because I saw him against Atalanta, I saw him against Bellanova, and it was for the first time for me. It felt like it was like ages catching up with him. Here's now a younger wing back who's got speed, who's matching him defensively and on the attacking end as well. Hernandez just looked like he was always on the weaker end, whereas like always in the past we'd be like, we got this fucking stud at left back who would put the opposition right backs and right wingers on their toes, and vice versa defensively. We'd always have them down for pace. Now it just looked like he was like the older man who was just like short, like 5 steps behind Bellanova. And I was like, fuck, like this was supposed to be our stud player now, one of our best players and best left back in the world. And I was watching that, I was thinking like, nah, like not anymore. So I think the answer that he needs to kind of ask himself at this age of 27 years old, where he can still kick on for a good couple of years, does he still want it with us? And then if he doesn't, then see you later, man. But if he does, then I'll be willing to back it. And I think he can get back to that. But I think there's a motivation thing inside him that he can only answer that question, basically.
And do you know what? It's going to be so ironic. I think Mike will renew, but it'll be kind of ironic if Leao, the one that we thought would have left and all the rest of it, is going to be the last bastion. And actually, all the stuff he said about the club, about the club ends up being true. Because if he spends close to a decade at Milan, you can't say anything about Rafa and his dedication to the club at that point. Anyway, that's a different conversation, but it's just interesting to look back, because with Maldini and Massara, when Maldini was at the club especially, we know how much Theo respected Maldini and loved him. Theo was the future capitano for me. He was the future captain. I really want him to be captain. It's not going to happen now. I can see that. And I think he probably would have stayed for a long, long time. And I think he genuinely did at some point really love this club, and he still always will. But I think if you look in between the eyes, like you said, if Zlatan sits him down, God forbid, fuck that guy at the moment. But I think you can tell it's just his heart's not in it anymore at Milan. And I hope to be wrong.
I think it's connected to Maldini, personally. And a lot of players that saw the change in direction of the club, or equally the change of the impact of day-to-day training, go when Maldini went. He's the one that brought him in. He scouted him, basically helped evolve him into the left back that we see today. And it's like any mentor going, or like, I
think they've definitely in contact. Do you reckon they've reached out to each other?
I reckon.
Yeah,
I reckon, and even the way that Maldini got let go, it gave him as any person would be in it's like a job restructure, in it, when your coach, when your manager gets sacked, and it's all below the belt, and you're like, well,
hang on, this isn't the same as it was anymore.
And I had that person's back, he had my back, and it's kind of like, your motivation dips. So I think it's very similar to that, personally. But I mean, I could be wrong.
Said. I think that's a good sentiment to sort of leave it on. And again, as I said, guys listening, let us know what you think. We really are interested on this one, both of us, because I don't think either of us know which way it's going to land. We're both on the same side of where we want it to land, and I think he's still got enough time, at least in the rest of the season, to win us back because of what he's done and how unique he is and what a fantastic player, etc., etc. But I think we were all waking up to the fact, smelling the coffee, if you like, that the decision needs to be made soon, because we can't let a player like that go on a free. Effectively, it just can't happen. No more. So, yeah, as always, thank you, Steph. Thank you for joining me. And always, guys, get involved with Pub Chat. Let us know what you want us to speak about and what you want us to hear, any improvements, anything like that. This won't be the last one before Christmas. We've got a couple more. So let us know what you guys think. Any last thoughts or statements, Steph, mate?
All good. That's what
All
my left
good.
back back. I want my left back back.
Your left back, but you'll be on the watch along later tonight. I know this won't be coming out till after the fact, but let's hope we've got a win to talk about next time we're on here, celebrating 125th birthday.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
that's always been good. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, mate, and cheers, guys, for listening. We'll speak to you guys very soon. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.